Good afternoon, everyone. And before I start, one disclaimer. I'm not a cybersecurity practitioner. I was always an investigator, started 30 years back from the company where it took me 6 months to convince my boss to get the first computer for the company. I'm not talking of the Stone Age, just 30 years back, but that's where I come from. And when nasscom reached out to me for the topic of cyber forensics, I said, yes, this is what I love. Forensics, investigations. And again, going back 30 years, the forensics was largely treated as fingerprints, DNA, bloods, and all other things. But as we moved, as we matured enough towards the cyber era, the era of AI, we spoke about cyber forensics. And when we speak about, can we have the presentation, please? Yeah. Okay. So, okay, we are talking of the cyber forensic case study today, and I'm going to talk about a live case where one of our clients, the startup, was about to go for an IPO, and just weeks before, they were hit by a ransomware. And as we all know, if a startup or a company, just before an IPO, they get hit by a ransomware attack or something like that, or their data is leaked, their IPO could be at challenging situation, and they could face a lot of challenges. And the way the media or the social media, I would say, reacts today can actually put into your entire thing into trouble. So these are some of the case studies. We all saw how the AIMS ransomware was hit, how much impact it had, and how many days. It was number of days, I think the largest when the AIMS took time to restore everything back and the operations were normal. On the sidelines, we also saw that besides this, so these some news items which has been there in the news, but while the ransomware attack of the AIMS was in place, there was an attack with on the ICMR website, which was 6,000 times in a day. The ICMR website simultaneously was hit 6,000 times in single day. So the kind of attacks which are happening these days are amazing. Every single business is on hit. And I don't know from where these figures came. I just picked it from the Google. 24%. This could be much, much higher. The type of number of attacks on the cyber or ransomwares are going on are much, much higher than this, what I think of. Again, we talk of the AIMS attack. ICMR website had 6,000 times. And 90% of the businesses of the country are under the attack on the cyber. And who are these people who are making these attacks? These could be the bad actors. These could be state-sponsored attacks. They are neighbors who are there. We have very, very friendly neighbors all across, all our sites. So we know how they attack. What are the motivations for the cyber attack or a ransomware attack? Financial. I think that's on the top. Most of these attacks are the financial-driven attacks. Of course, the state-driven attacks and war defense, espionage, those are also, but the large portion is from the financial gain. So for financial gain, when these are making, everybody is looking at gaining that money. How do we take that money happen? The moment the client I'm talking of, one morning, and this is only a deception, this is not the actual screen, but one morning when the client came in, they say all their servers shows this black screen and they're not able to work in. The first thing, they call their IT guy, they call their CIO, and the CIO said, no problems. What are you going to do? You're going to remove this. Easy step. We're going to install the backup without realizing, without moving the infected machine from the site. And they got the backup installed. The moment the backup installed, if you see something on this side, right-hand side of mine, screen came in and the demand of the money came in. When the demand came in, they all got scared. There was a shock, and they never knew what needs to be done because now the backup which was there is also encrypted. What do you do? How do you actually react into these kind of situations? This is the attack view. I think most of you guys are cybersecurity practitioners, CIOs and CISOs. You know how these attacks will be. It will be either through the social engineering, it will be either through putting up some kind of a infected thumb drive. Most of us, the moment we land up in some other country, the first thing we try to find out is the free Wi-Fi. The moment we log into a free Wi-Fi, you are inviting, probably, I'm not saying 100%, but probably you are inviting the malwares into your system. Then multiple other things, and sorry, in fact, I was in a meeting in Mumbai with the bank guys, a multinational, a global bank, a small bank, but a global bank. I was sitting with their CIO, the legal head, and the marketing team, and they were having some issues of data leak and some kind of fake impersonation of their websites and their name onto the net. And I asked just one question to them, and we always talk about the putting up of the CapEx, firewalls, this solution, this DLP solution, this one, that product. But one thing when I asked, and this I generally ask in a lot of conferences and a lot of places where I'm a speaker, that when was the last time you changed your home Wi-Fi router password? Most of the time our company given, the devices, they give us a pop-up. The bank passwords gives us a pop-up, and every time we change the password because it is kind of a compulsion. But when we go back home, do we actually practice all those kind of best practices at home? Most of the time, and I tell the people that don't give me an answer, think of it, and your smile will tell me what the answer is. So I think these are some of the important things when we look at. And these security breaches, these ransomware attacks, they lead to a large reputational loss. Because if your company's data is lost, I think today we all talk of the data is the new gold, not the new oil, it's a new gold. And everyone is so sensitive about the data, and that's the reason why we have been seeing the GDPR or the DPDP Act or all other countries, Singapore having PDPA Act, everybody is trying to safeguard their personal information. The moment, and today I think most of you have seen the news of the HDFC Life data breach, there's a lot of information which is flowing in the market. How do we secure our own information? And if you're not able to do that, there is definitely a reputational loss. Financial loss, 100%. Intellectual property loss, you're losing your IP, you're going to be going into a legislative breach, loss of consumer confidence, business interruption cost, because the time duration during which you're not able to run your business, that's directly impacting your revenue and your losses. Now again, when there is a ransomware attack, what is that needs to be done? And what we did in this case, this is a live case, was done approximately 2 to 3 years back. There are a lot of choices one have. The first choice is immediately pay the money and get our data back, right? That's the first thing, because the first priority for every business guy is, I need my business running, doesn't matter anything else. So do we pay it? Do we pay the money or not pay it? There are a lot of countries, so especially if you look at the UK Act, the British Act, 2000, they have put it into a terrorism act. So anyone paying this money through even crypto could be a party to a terrorism, because you are facilitating some terrorism act, because this money is not going to the right people, they are always going to the bad actors. Is it legal? The paying the money is legal? Not legal? I think there's a big question mark. What are the legal options available? And we all know, we have enough debated a couple of years back on the 6 hours of reporting. When does the 6 hours start? When do we report it? Do we report it? Do we not report it? Do we report that we have paid money? There are a lot of question marks, and I'm not debating on what is right, what is wrong. I think every decision in the corporate is about business. So the business takes the call. We all there are to implement that what needs to be implemented. Do we have a cyber insurance? And if yes, do we call that back? Do we tell our insurance company that we have been hit by a ransomware? Does it going to impact my next year's insurance premium, or I need to get me covered for this particular attack right now? Is the person actually having the encryption key? Now this is very, very important, and this is what we did in this case. The ransomware attack, it kidnaps your data, right? It kidnaps your entire system. This is similarly like few years back if we used to see those movies where the person was kidnapped and we were always wanting that my person, my father, my son, my husband is alive. We always needed that proof of life. Similarly, in the case of a ransomware attack, we need that the person whom we are talking to actually is having that encryption key. So in this case, we discussed with that guy or the bad actor or the person who was an attacker. We got the keys from him for the smaller portion, and then we confirmed that he has the right keys, and those keys can be used to encrypt the decrypted data. What will happen to my data? Even if you're paying, is the attacker keeping the copy of that data? Is he still not going to sell it on the dark web? Will he come back after 6 months and say that here is the data of this particular company which is available on the dark web for the sale? How are you going to secure your data post even paying the money which this person has asked for? Now what we did, and where does the role of the cyber forensic comes in, we did the forensics of each of the servers, each of the systems in that particular domain to find out from where the hack happened, where the malicious link came in. Of course, it is a very, very difficult task to identify the exact, but we know the route, how does it move, and which was the first system got infected, and how did it move from there. From there, we were able to identify what are the weaknesses of the system, what are the challenges, and how do we up the game for the cyber security in that particular organization. These are some of the safeguards. I'm sure each one of you knows this very well. I may be, not even competent enough to talk about this because you all are the cybersecurity practitioners. You do it every single day. But one thing which I always focus on is whatever kind of capex, whatever kind of investments you do into putting up of your systems, you may put any kind of systems, any kind of softwares, any kind of tools. I think the most important point, and most of us fail, is the awareness and training. If our teams, and the teams is not the cybersecurity or the IT teams, the entire organization-wise, if our teams are not trained, they are not aware properly, I think anything which we do here on this list is not going to help. Because, because the one wrong click by any of the team member can actually put the entire cybersecurity into trouble. Thank you. I think I'm much within the time. I still have 1 minute plus, so thank you so much. Any questions, anything, happy to answer. Thank you so much. Yes, please. I think we have a question over there.
Thank you, Sanjay, for that insightful thing. You mentioned about how do I make sure, even after paying, whether my data would be sold in the dark web and all. Honestly, I did not hear an answer to that. You talked about the proactive measures, so if you could please give us some insight, which can be discussed in detail later. And with that question, I would humbly put in a suggestion, because we are all talking about utilization technology in the proper way. I really thank our hearing impaired communication experts to be there on stage, but can I request very humbly to put them on the video such that their efforts are put to good use. Thank you.
Thank you. I think NASSCOM will take care of
Thank you
that
so
suggestion
much.
and they will note it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights into this. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr.
I
Sanjay.
have a question in the first part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. So your voice was, if you can put the mic little away.
Okay. So I was asking, you did mention about the risk of losing data despite paying up in the
Yep.
dark web. How do I ensure that the attacker is not going to sell my data in the dark web?
So I think the only thing which we can do is a regular monitoring of the dark web to see that if in future the data is coming in, because you have no control on the attacker or the bad actor, whether he is going to keep the copy of your data or not. You can only do a proactive approach of keeping an eye on the dark web if your data is available. And if the moment your data comes in, you take up action again. That's the only way. Thank you.